Hey guys, I have been breastfeeding my son for 3 years, and that's feels wild to say. It isn't something that I had ever intended to have a specific timeline on or knew how long I would be going for, but there's really no end in sight right now. I thought that I would make a video answering all of the most asked questions that you guys had in regards to breastfeeding. So since I have been doing this for an extended length of time now, I feel like I have some kind of a leg to stand on in regards to the topic. I hope that this video is helpful for you. I asked on Instagram if you guys had any questions, and boy did ya. I was literally flooded with questions and I couldn't believe it. So I had my son in December of 2020, and man, it's been a wild ride. Being a parent is no joke, and breastfeeding exclusively is also no joke. So I will say a few facts off the top. He has never taken a bottle. Some babies will, some babies won't. I have a won't. So every time he has ever nursed has been from me. He has never or would never take a bottle. And by the time that I got to the point where he might, pumping didn't work for me. So I was not a pumping mom. I never did. I only pumped maybe like 5-6 times. Any of the milk that I pumped, I never actually ended up using for him. A lot of babies will take a bottle. I just didn't offer it early enough, I don't think, because they always talk about nipple confusion, and by that point, he wasn't having it. That being said, I have a unique experience in that he never did take a bottle. Nobody else has ever fed him but me. So that put a big strain on me and my body and my time and energy. Still to this day, 3 years in, it is a lot. And so I just wanted to give you that perspective so that going forward, you can know that that's how we did things. No pumping, no bottles, for no reason other than we just didn't. I wanna start off by saying too, that obviously this is not a shaming video. This is my personal experience. If you couldn't breastfeed, if you didn't want to breastfeed, this is not a video to make anybody feel shame. However you feed your baby is best for you and your family. This is a video for people who have curiosities about my experience or want some information for their own. So again, there's no shame here for anybody, and this is all I can give is my own personal experiences and opinions up until this point. How did you get past the pain? My son is 2 weeks and I've almost lost the joy of breastfeeding due to pain. It's about right when you're at maybe the first month. I know that they say that breastfeeding should not hurt and that if it does, there's something wrong. I completely disagree with that sentiment. I was doing everything right. I was doing all the correct holds. I had talked to lactation consultants. I had done everything correct. It just hurts. You've never probably had somebody sucking on your boobs 18 hours a day. Like the amount you have to latch them, at least for me and my baby, is way more than they said. And I think that's my first tip that I want to suggest for people that are having a hard time. I know it hurts in the beginning, but if you push through, it's a literal non-issue after that. Like my nipples couldn't hurt now if you tried. Like my son literally, he's sick right now. We're all going through a cold. And so, especially when kiddos are sick, they nurse a lot more. The other day, he literally nursed for like 18 hours straight. We were just laying on the couch together. My boobs couldn't be sore if you tried. Like they get used to it. It's unfortunate. No, they're not chapped or different or weird or anything now. They get used to it. So that first month was extremely painful. And I'm not even gonna lie, it took a lot to get through it. I would wince every time he would latch. And then usually what happens is they latch, as long as they have a good latch and you know that they're getting food, for me, it just took some time to get through it. You can obviously talk to a lactation consultant to make sure the latch is correct, that there's no oral ties or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it just fucking hurts for like the first month. You just have to get used to it. A lot of people have questions on boosting milk production. Now, in the beginning, I will say that I did worry about that. But what I did, and I found the most beneficial to making sure that I wasn't stressing out about, is he getting enough, is doing weighted feeds. So I got this scale. It's a changing table / scale. I will have it linked down in the description of this video if you guys are interested. You can just get a regular baby scale, but you weigh them before you feed them, and then you feed them, nurse them, and then you weigh them after. And if their ounces have gone up, you know that they got some food. Also, what goes in must come out. So if they are getting enough food, they'll be peeing and pooping the appropriate amount. And that is a way that you can know if they're getting enough. A lot of people, there's a lot of misinformation out there in regards to having enough milk. Most people think they don't have enough. You most likely, in the rarest of occasion, you won't make enough, but you most likely do. So pumping is not a good indicator of whether or not you have enough milk, at least in my perspective. And from what I have realized is that I've had plenty of milk for my son. When I would pump, I would get like an ounce. That doesn't mean you have an ounce. Your body knows it's different with a pump versus a baby. He could get tons out of me in what a pump could not. So I don't want people to gauge their milk supply based on what you're able to pump. I mean, if you exclusively pump, yes, that makes a difference. And you need to know, like, you need to have a higher supply. But since I do not have any advice on pumping, and I'm sorry, I just never did it. And it's not something that I have any advice on. All I can do is talk about breastfeeding in general. In the beginning, it's difficult. But what I will say is one of the best pieces of advice that I got. So I saw a lactation consultant in the hospital, and she helped me with how to get the baby latched. But then when you get home, dude, you're tired. Tired doesn't even begin to cover what it is. It's like a level of exhaustion you can't quite describe. Not only that, the amount you have to feed them is like staggering. I feel like I was latching him on once every hour and a half, every 2 hours maximum. I feel like it was once an hour. That brings your milk supply up. So that's the one thing, is that the more you latch them, the more milk your body will make. It's a supply and demand thing. Your body will continue to make what it is putting out. So if you're not removing milk via the baby suckling or pumping, your body's going to regulate to what you're actually removing. If you want to have more milk, be nursing more, be pumping more. Your body will make more. I've gotten engorged. Oh my God. The engorgement in the beginning is so intense, but the more milk they drink, the more milk your body will make. And if you're not having that situation, definitely talk to a lactation consultant. I'm gonna have links down in the description of this video, but I didn't have that issue. My body just made enough. And if I felt like it wasn't, I would latch him on more and just let him nurse and nurse and nurse and nurse. I had a really fussy baby, a baby who never napped, a baby who was only comforted by breastfeeding. So he got lucky that, yeah, that was all he wanted to do all day long was nurse. And so my body was just making milk, still is making milk. So I think that's the thing in the beginning to note, is that there's a transition period in the beginning. It's going to be difficult. You've never done this before. Your baby has never done this before. But there are a couple of things that I found that made it easier for me. Number one thing was my breast friend pillow. Over the Boppy, over a pillow, over anything else, the My Breast Friend is hands down the best breastfeeding device that you can get, in my opinion. It holds them in a position that makes it so much easier to nurse. I swear that thing was attached to me 24/7 for like the first 6 months of life. And it really, really helped to make our breastfeeding relationship last longer. It saves your back, it saves your arms. It's just so nice. I cannot give it enough praise. It's so much better than the Boppy, in my opinion. The Boppy has its use, but it's just not that useful in regards to nursing. It is later on. I kept the Boppy down here on the couch, then I kept the My Breast Friend pillow up in my room for nighttime feeds, so that it made it just so much easier for me at night. I would just snap the pillow on, set him up there, and I could just relax. And he had that firm, nice surface that felt very safe to keep him on. Product-wise, that is the one I can recommend more than anything else, the My Breast Friend pillow. Hold-wise, as far as getting your nipple into their mouth and getting a good latch, the thing that helped me in the beginning was something that my friend said to me. I took a breastfeeding course, and I paid, I don't know, a couple $100 for this course online. It was the Thompson method for breastfeeding. And she was talking in there about like, bring the baby to the breast and like, let them root for it. Let them draw the nipple into their mouth. Don't push it in, nothing like that. Okay, I hear you, but that in practice was not useful for me at all. That breastfeeding course did nothing for me but make me kind of get the hang of things later than I normally would have. What actually helped me was that I was on FaceTime with my friend, and she has 4 kids. And I was like, I feel like he won't like get a deep latch. He's not like connecting with me. Like I can't get him on there really good. And she was like, grab your boob, smash it down flat, and roll it into their mouth, like push him onto that, like shove that into their mouth, like deep. And because I pancaked my boob in that way, it went into his mouth, and that was like the best latch we ever got. In the beginning, I breastfed him in the football hold the most, which is where their body is kind of back off to your side, and then their little head is right here, and then you pull them in like this. And then now it's always exclusively in the cross cradle, I think is what it is. Like his feet are over here and his head is right here, and then we switch back and forth. He can nurse in any position now because he's 3 and he's wild. But that was the most beneficial for me in the beginning, was just pancake your boob, pancake it, shove it in. Flatten your nipple, shove it in. That helped so much. As far as, like I said, as far as milk production is concerned, if you're bringing your baby to the breast, like once every hour and a half to 2 hours, they say like once every 3 hours, I found that my baby was too hungry for that. He wanted more. He wanted more. And the more I brought him to the boob, the more milk I made. I have had clogged ducts. Those are misery. I do have some tips for those later. As far as milk production and keeping it up, I personally did not have an issue with that, because there was no way my body wasn't going to produce milk. I was literally latching my baby constantly because it was the only thing that would soothe him. For me, the more you bring him to the boob, the more milk your body is going to make. Most likely, again, unless you're that very small percentage of people that doesn't work with, our bodies do a really good job of regulating milk production. And when exclusively pumping, it can be more difficult. Our bodies are just, man, they know what they want. They know what they want. This person said, I'm a newborn mom, 1 week old. How can I get him to stay awake while eating? Congratulations, first of all. You tickle their feet. Strip him down naked. That was an issue with mine too. He would fall asleep quite a lot at the boob, but blow on their head. Keep them awake because they do need to have that feed. Again, like I said, a weighted feed was really helpful for me, and having that scale in the beginning was so nice because I would just weigh him every day. I probably was weighing him too much, but I had a lot of anxiety in the beginning about him not getting enough food, and he actually was a super chunk after a while, and that was a really good feeling. But just bringing him to their regular newborn appointments and making sure that they are gaining weight the way that they should be, that's the only thing that you really can do, other than a weighted feed is a good way for you to know without having to go all the way to the pediatrician whether or not they're gaining weight. And like I said, you just weigh them before and after and see if they're gaining. And then if they're gaining weight, then you know things are going well. If they have poopy diapers and they have a lot of wet diapers, you know they're getting food. If they're not and they're looking like they're losing weight, that's not a good sign. You want to talk to your doctor. If they're gaining weight, if they're pooping and peeing often, and there are charts online, you can ask your doctor how often they need to be going. And our son was hitting those milestones, and so that's how we knew that he was getting enough. How long are we supposed to breastfeed for roughly? I'm having my first in March. Well, congratulations. There is no supposed to. You don't even have to breastfeed your kid. You can give them formula. You can breastfeed if you want to. You can do it for 2 months. You can do it for 2 years. You can do it for 5 years. There is no supposed to. There are recommendations. They say that a year is great, 2 years is better, but that there are no actual recommendations for the length of time that you can go. What I will read to you is American Academy of Pediatrics. That's who it is, AAP. It says they recommend exclusive breastfeeding for about the first 6 months, with continued breastfeeding along with introducing appropriate complementary foods for up to 2 years of age or longer. There is no evidence of psychologic or developmental harm from breastfeeding into the 3rd year of life or longer. It looks like for most people, and I think that was one of the main questions that I got asked here, is like, why so long? I'm just letting it go off of what it seems like he needs and what he wants. He is comforted by it. He asks for it. It's a bonding experience for him. It makes him feel very, very comforted, and it calms him down. It helps tremendously with sleep, with tantrums, with meltdowns. It is just such a helpful tool during this time, but also there are benefits as well. Like, he has healed from this cold that we just got day one. I mean, he's got a little bit of a stuffy nose. That's it. Me, I got sicker than all of us, probably because he's getting all my antibodies. But a really cool thing that happens with breastfeeding is that when your child is sick, your nipple, when it gets their spit on it, it will like draw some of that saliva into your tissues, and then your body basically like analyzes the saliva, and it will then create antibodies or use antibodies that will be healing towards the illness your child has at their next feed. Is that not so freaking cool? And so it's helpful for, their immune system. There's so many different benefits to it. Yeah, he just enjoys it. He's slowly, I've noticed, starting to take it less and less. If I offer it, if he's having a hard time, he'll say no. Sometimes at night, if he's nursing, he like closes up my shirt and turns around and goes to sleep on his own. So I already notice some signs that he's getting to the point where he's kind of gonna do it on his own. It's bittersweet. I absolutely love nursing him. It's not weird at all. I think the only reason people consider it weird is because culturally it's not considered normal here. It's not that it's not normal, it's that it's not common. It's like the most normal thing, and other cultures have a completely different view of nursing and breastfeeding, but in Western culture, it's just not something that is done for as long. A lot of other countries, they breastfeed their children up until they're 5, 6 years old, but here in Western culture, we are like the first 6 months, and that's about it. So nobody really judges me for it, though. I have a lot of questions like, what kind of looks do you get? No looks, nobody cares. At least for me and my breastfeeding experience, I do not get any flack about it at all, except for from online. Online is the only place I've ever heard a negative comment. Online is the only place that I've ever had anybody say anything or care. But in person, nobody has said anything. It's never been an issue. I don't use nursing covers. I'm not just whipping my titty out in the middle of Target, but I would if I need to. It's never been a problem. It's just a non-issue, at least for me. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just not paying very close attention, but I think that, I don't know, just kind of seems like most people have come to expect it and accept it. And at least in my situation, it's been no big deal. I'd love to hear your ways of reducing the feeling of breastfeeding burnout. Oh my God. There have been times where I'm like, I cannot do it one more time. And then you just don't, or you just do and breathe your way through it, or you just set boundaries around it. It can be a lot, especially when you are the sole person being touched and nursed off of all day long. It is exhausting. It is just, it's a lot. It's a lot, but I don't regret it. I don't look back and be like, I nursed him too much. They always say like, you're never gonna regret the amount of time you held your children or nursed your children or snuggled them or comforted them. That's absolutely true. I do not look back and be like, oh my God, I nursed him too much. Like, no, I don't do that at all. In fact, thinking of it stopping completely and knowing that that journey, quote unquote, will come to an end is, oh, it's crushing. But it is just a part of growing up, and you know, it just is what it is. But there are definitely days where I'm like, no. I cannot do it again. In the beginning, you can't say no because you are the sole source of nutrition. It was really tough. I'm not gonna lie. I had to, and this is quite literally the honest truth, I had to, in the beginning, because I was the sole source of food, my baby would not take a bottle. The only way that he would eat, because they don't eat solids till they're 6 months, so that for that first 6 months, you are it. And if your baby won't take a bottle, and if there is no way for you to get more than 2 hours away, you'll start to go crazy. I did. It was a lot for me, like a freaking lot. I had to mentally get to a place where I accepted defeat almost, which sounds so sad, but I had to accept that I was not going to be able to do anything anymore for like a long time. Like, it was when I had expectations of what my day was going to look like, and then I ended up just nursing a baby the entire day. Those were the days that were like crushing to my soul and spirit. But when I was like, okay, all I'm gonna do is sit down all day and nurse this baby, and then if I did get to do something else, that was like a pleasant surprise. But if I had the expectation of nothing is going to happen today, I'm going to sit here all day long, then it wasn't as crushing to me to sit there all day long. It was when I had hoped for something else and then it ended up being that it was a struggle. No lie. It is very mentally taxing to be feeding somebody from your body all day long, every day. It doesn't make it any easier, honestly, when they start eating solids. At least for me, for the first like 6 months, I was like, okay, because you can go anywhere and you just have the food on you. It's the perfect temperature when you need it, anywhere you need it. It's not like you have to heat up a bottle or, you know, mix formula or even heat up breast milk. Like, you just have it on tap at all times with you, no matter where you are. But when I had to start feeding him food, I was like, are you telling me I have to make somebody 3 meals a day, every day for the rest of my godforsaken life? And the answer is yes. And they're probably not even gonna eat it. This is one of the main questions: teething, biting. And honestly, you just gotta get through it. Again, like anything else, it's not a very long phase, but man alive, it was hard. He would deliberately bite me. You can't get mad at him. I mean, they're just babies, for God's sakes. They don't know. They don't know anything. They're learning their mouth. They're learning what they can do. I would tell him no sternly. No bite, no bite, no. And I would pull my boob away. And then if he would go to do it again, I would pull it away and I would put it away. I needed him to know that really hurts, mommy. And even if he got a little bit upset after that, I'm sorry, buddy, but you cannot bite me. I can't let you bite me. No bite. And it's hard because they're so freaking little. I remember he started getting his first teeth 6 months, 4 months, 5 months. He was about 6 months because I remember those 2 little bottom teeth poked through. God, he was cute. And it sucks, but it's not like they bite your nipple off. Like, I don't know. There's something about your child biting you that, like, while it sucks, you just look down at their darling little face and you realize that, like, they didn't mean to, and it's just a quick phase that passes. It sucked when it was happening, but I feel like it passed in about a month-ish. He learned, you do not bite mommy. I never like flicked him or yelled at him or anything, but I would sternly, with a strong, confident voice, let him know, you do not bite me. And I would stop him from nursing. So there was that consequence. It hurts so bad, but also at the same time, like, it does pass. Some kids go longer, some kids don't. Mine, I feel like, kind of did the normal length of time on everything. Like, he kind of just about a month. He got used to having his little chompers, and he never bit my nipple off or anything, and he does not bite me now. He has not bit me in, years. Like, it was only when he was brand new to his teeth and he didn't really understand that I would get bit, and it's just kind of, and then that's kind of it. It's not like it's lasting. It's not like it bit through. I'm sure a kid could, but they're not trying to hurt you. They're unaware of their Little chompers. Do you have an age in mind of when you'll stop? Being pressured to stop for my 2-year-old toddler. Dude, you stop when you're good and ready. It has nothing to do with anybody else because they don't feed your kid. They're not in your house and they have nothing to do with it. So anybody else's weird pressure on you is their own problem, and you don't have to deal with other people's problems and they don't have to deal with yours. Nope, you stop when you want to and when it feels right for you and your family. That's really what it comes down to. Again, it's a Western thing. It's just not very, people aren't very used to seeing it, and they think that there's some kind of rule or that you're weird. You're not weird. Oh my God. Even my 3-year-old, he's a baby. Like, he's a little baby, especially when he's nursing. Like, he's immediately my curled up little froggy man. He's just a tiny little baby. They're still regulating their emotions. They don't really know anything yet. They're just really brand new to life, and they get comfort from boo-boo. So that's what they're gonna get if you want to give it to them. I mean, like, that's really at the end of the day. Nobody finds it weird when they see a toddler walking around with a sippy cup or even a bottle for that matter, but they think it's weird when your kid nurses. Like, it's the exact same thing. It's food, it's comfort. If a kid has a lovey, if a kid sucks on a pacifier, those are all things that comfort them, and nursing is that comfort for a lot of children, for mine included. So you don't have to feel weird about it. If other people don't look at other 2-year-olds like they're weird for carrying around a stuffed animal, a blankie, or a pacifier, then they need to relax about nursing. It's literally completely biologically appropriate and normal. Any advice to women who want to breastfeed but have flat or inverted nipples? Okay, well, I was one of these people. My left boob, or is it my right boob? My right boob is more flat than my left, like a lot more flat. Not inverted, but it could have been close to that. It has completely changed. It is now a regular pokey outy nipple. Baby sucking on it for 3 years will do that. And I just say, this might be TMI for some people, but who fucking cares? This is for somebody who's gonna need this information. Make it, like, fondle it a little bit, get it to not be as inverted, like squeeze it, do what you need to do, and then pancake that shit and shove it in. And it worked for me. No issues at all, breastfeeding on either side. So that's all I can say. One time I got a clogged milk duct, and I've had it twice or 3 times. Misery. When I say it literally feels like an egg, that's exactly what it would feel like a hard ass egg in your boob, and it hurts so bad. It is so inflamed. I've never had mastitis or anything, but oh my God, so inflamed. And it didn't matter how much I nursed him, he could not clear the duct. Help me. I had hot compresses, cold compresses. I was doing anything possible. Now, I'm gonna explain something that can happen with breastfeeding, and it's called a milk bleb or a milk blister. Now, I know it sounds gross, but that was what it was for me both times, and I didn't even realize it. When I tell you, clearing that shit out was one of the most, it was like heavenly. So basically, what you're gonna wanna do if you get one of those is you're gonna wanna look at your nipple, and if there's any white spots on it, that is likely a milk bleb or a clogged milk duct. They say not to do this, but when you're desperate, you'll do anything. I put some alcohol on the tip of a pin, like a little pokey pin, and right at that white spot, poked it in, and it shot out of me. Milk literally shot out of me, because what happens is, like, a little bit of skin grew over that milk duct, and the milk is trapped behind there, and so it's just clogging back into that area. The feeling of clearing a clogged duct, I literally can't explain it. It was the most relieving feeling. It was like taking your bra off, taking your lashes off, taking a corset off after a long day. It was like, oh my God, like, it was the most relieving feeling in the entire world. So check that to see, because that was what it was for me both times. And I just had to poke it with a pin and, like, keep doing that, and then, like, massage it out, get that clog out of there, and then just nurse the shit out of your baby. Like, let them nurse as much as they want to. And I've only had that happen twice. I have not had it happen in the last 1.5 years. Once my milk supply completely regulated now, because before what would happen is, like, say he slept through the night all of a sudden randomly, but he normally would wake up 3 times a night to nurse. My body knows, hey, your baby wakes up 3 times a night to nurse, so I'm gonna make milk when he obviously is usually waking up. And then if he accidentally slept through the night that night, you wake up in the morning with big old hard timmies. Like, they are just engorged. And that was when I would get a clogged duct, because my boobs were just, like, firm and just, ugh. So that's uncomfortable, but that doesn't happen anymore. So now if he doesn't nurse for 12 hours, I don't get engorged. My milk is just like, it's like supply and demand. Like, it starts when he starts nursing. My boobs are just always the same level of softness. They don't get hard anymore. They don't get engorged. I don't know what happens or why, but it just is regulated. It just is, like, normal. So yeah, that's been really great. Does he do well with solid food? My son is 15 months old, still nursing. He doesn't do much solid food. In the beginning, he was more nursing than anything, but yeah, he eats. He's an eater. He's in a phase right now where he's picky and everything that you offer him he doesn't want, but that's just being 3. They just hate everything. They wake up and choose violence. Does breastfeeding ever make your emotions go everywhere? I couldn't do it. It made me crazy. Hey, that's some people that happens to. There is a condition called DMER, DMER, and I'm not exactly sure what it stands for, but basically it's like when you latch your baby on for nursing, you get this rush of either hormones or whatever it is. I'm not exactly sure. And it's emotions that fill you full of like depression and like hopelessness, and it does disappear after a little bit of time nursing, but it happens every time you latch them on, and that can be really debilitating for a lot of people. I don't have that, but it sounds awful. I deal with depression and anxiety in general, and a lot of postpartum depression and anxiety after having him. So knowing that every time you go to nurse them, you're going to feel that wave of like doom and hopelessness, like, dude, no wonder people would quit. I probably would have. That sounds awful. But a lot of people stick it through and some people can't. You know, it's just up to you and what you feel like you can handle. And ultimately, at the end of the day, your child will do just fine if you don't breastfeed. If it's something that's really important to you, like it was really important to me that I continue on. And for me, even though it was a hard struggle, I personally needed to do it. Like it was something that I needed to do. And if you don't relate to that, hey, you don't. That's totally fine. I had to do it. I needed to continue nursing my son, and I'm really glad I pushed through. But if you have some debilitating things like that happening, like, dude, that sounds miserable. How often does your son want to nurse now? It depends on the day. Right now, like today, he probably has 5 times today. It is 1 o'clock. That's a lot for some people. They're like, holy shit, are you kidding me? And that's including like eating food. It's a comfort thing for him more than anything. He's got a lot of big feelings right now. It ain't for the weak. Some days he's an absolute angel, and some days it's just like one meltdown after another. Today is that day. And he's just a really big mommy's boy right now. So depends on the day. Sometimes it might be 4 times in one day. Sometimes it might be 14. Sometimes it might be 20. It's not like he nurses for 45 minutes each time, like when they're a newborn. It's like 5 minutes here, or 2 minutes there, little comfort nurse, or it might be a longer one where it's like a 15-minute long. It's just like a comfort thing. So it's just dependent on what he wants. If I'm busy, I can't give it. So if I'm like in the middle of doing something and he's like, Mommy, can I have boo-boo? I will be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm right now. I gotta go do this, but I'll be right back. I'll give it to him later. So it just really depends on the day. There is no set amount. It's not like that because it's not for nutrition right now. I mean, obviously he's getting nutrition from it, but this is for comfort. It's a comfort thing now. What did you do while pregnant to prepare for nursing? I took a breastfeeding course, but like I said, that didn't do anything. The Thompson method for breastfeeding was not for me. I feel like it was completely irrelevant to what it ended up being. What actually ended up being helpful was just doing it and trial and error and crying and feeling like I wasn't doing right, and then squeezing my boob, get it in his mouth, weighted feed, stressing out, having anxiety, weighing him, seeing that he was gaining weight, and then finally calming down with it after a couple of months. Like that's just being a parent. There's really nothing you could do to prepare for this. If I'm honest with you, there's nothing you can do. Someone just asked me if I've introduced solid foods yet. He eats everything. Like he's only eats solid foods, and then he uses me for basically I'm a pacifier. But a pacifier is created to be in place of a nipple, not the other way around. Please talk us through the first week. We are going to try to breastfeed our second, and I have no clue. It's just a fucking blur, dude. I was just latching him every hour and a half. I wasn't sleeping though. I was not doing well. And even at my first like postpartum checkup where I was diagnosed with postpartum depression, she asked me like, how often are you latching him? And I was like once an hour. She was like, okay, you can do less than that. That's a lot. And you're not going to get sleep if you're doing that. I'm like, I know, I'm not sleeping. She's like, you're mentally ill, honey. I'm like, I know. Yeah. So, my breast friend, lots of nipple cream, lanolin. Keep those titties out. Just let them air out. Let them breathe. Cold compresses on them to help with the cracked bleedingness. It sucks. It sucks so bad in the beginning. I have no tips other than it absolutely gets better. I promise you. I remember thinking in the beginning, sorry, I just had a coughing attack. I remember thinking, how could my nipples heal if he keeps sucking on them? I was like, how can they be expected to not be cracked and bleeding and dry if he won't stop sucking on them? Because you can't keep injuring an injury and have it heal. It does. I don't know how it does. It just does. Their latch gets better. They start nursing a little bit less. It just does. It just does. It's only been 1 month for me and I'm exhausted. How do you keep up the stamina? By the skin of my teeth. I mean, you just get used to it. The first year is just hard. I'm sorry. Like, there is no advice I have other than like, you just do. You get through it because you have no other choice. It's just hard. My camera's about to die. It's gonna die. And my battery died. So I was basically saying at the end of the video, before it cut me off, I would do things a lot differently this next time around. I would offer a bottle sooner. I had like really, really weird anxieties in the beginning. The reason I didn't offer a bottle sooner is because I was like, I don't want my baby drinking from a plastic bottle. It's like, oh my God. Okay. It was a thing. So anyway, I would probably offer a bottle. I would. And pumping is unfortunately like, it doesn't make it a lot easier for the mom. That's the thing, because you still have to pump to have that milk so that somebody else can feed them. So that's still work you have to do unless you are supplementing with formula. But also do know that the more you supplement with formula, and not that this is a bad thing, it's just a point to make about all of this, is that that's the less milk that your body is using. And so your body will make less milk. And a lot of people do like combo feeding. Your body will regulate to what it's using. So unless you are pumping or removing milk from the breast, your body will make what it's removing from your breast. If you aren't removing as much because you're doing like half and half formula feeds, your body will make half the amount that it was making. So I think a lot of people wonder about their milk supply because of things like that, but that's just the reality of it. It's not like a judgment on anybody. It's just the reality that if you are removing less, your body will make less. If you're removing more, most of the time, like 95% of the time, your body will make more. It's pretty unlikely that your body is just like not gonna ever make milk. I was reading on the Leche League's website, which they're a really good resource, and they were saying that it's even less than 5% of people that actually don't have enough milk for their babies. But a lot of times it's that people aren't nursing their babies enough, and so their body starts making less. It's not that their fault even, it's just, it's difficult, dude. Like, it's really difficult. So I just wanted to say that there are a lot of different things that you can do. Like, you don't just have to suffer like I did. I didn't suffer, like, I mean, come on, realistically, but it was very difficult to be the sole source of food. And if you are wanting a little bit more freedom than I had, I would definitely probably pump and add a bottle. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I hope I answered all your questions, and I hope that I got across the point that I wanted to. But I feel like, you know, it's just one of those things that you learn as you go. It comes really naturally to some people, and it comes very difficultly to some. I saw that there's even a mom that I follow on Instagram, and she's on her 5th baby, I believe. She's on her 5th baby. And all 4 of her first babies, all of them breastfed just fine. And this 5th one, she's having issues and having to supplement with formula. So you can even be a seasoned mom who feels like they know what they're doing and feels like they have it down. And then it could be that 5th baby that's just like throws a little curveball. I will have relevant links down in the description of this video if you guys are interested checking out some of the products, or links and resources that I have down below. I'll like have some things about DMER and you know, the Leche League stuff that really helped me a lot. If you guys have any questions, you guys can leave them down in the comments, and I will try to answer them if I can. Please try to be respectful. Obviously, that's like a given in life. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!